quiet sip of coffee. You know why? It's getting freezing out here in Maine. Temperatures are regularly around the low 50s. At night it drops to freezing, below freezing. We had a night of 28 or 29 even. And it's supposed to snow next Monday. Yes. Can't wait. That said, welcome back to the show, Sonic Flare. I'm your lovable host, Danny K. What's happening, everyone? Hope everyone is having a fantabulous fall, October into November. And today's show is cool. Today's show, we're actually reviewing the Mobile Fidelity Masterphono, designed by the great, ingenious Peter Madnick, who's long been associated, pardon me, to various forms and iterations of companies in high-end audio, in audio in general, dating back all the way back to the, late 80s, I guess? 90s? I don't want to date Peter, but he's a super cool guy. You'll recognize him instantly. He wears his hair the way that I would wear my hair if I had his hair, if that makes any sense. I'll look a picture. I'll find a picture and drop it up here so you guys can see. Say hi to him when you see him. He's a super cool guy. That said, little, preview, I guess. You know, Mobile Fidelity, obviously, they're capitalizing on their namesake. They're capitalizing on their brand and power. Of course, they've, been reissuing records forever and a half through various iterations of the company. It's obviously been bought and sold a bunch of times. But, they've done a fairly good job. I mean, there was obviously that DSD gate where, most of the albums over the last 10, 15 years have been pushed through DSD first and then converted back into analog and pressed. But, that's behind us, whatever. If it lingers on, it lingers on. What do you want me to do about it? I will say that to me personally, it never bothered me from a sonic perspective, totally upfront and honest. It bothered me that they hid that from the public and didn't disclose it until the In-Groove, Mike Esposito, exposed it all. Unlike all the other audiophilia generalias from the hi-fi press that kind of kept mum and quiet about it. Anyway, so, look, obviously they're capitalizing on their name. They've partnered with several people in the industry to create what I think are actually really, really good components. They have a Masterphono turntable now. They have the Masterphono phono stage, part of this review, and a bunch of other things in their portfolio, and I'm sure they're going to be expanding it. They obviously have the incredible loudspeakers. I forgot about those. I'm sorry. Andrew, forgive me. Which are very well regarded. I quite like the way they sound. So, they're on a roll. And again, Masterphono. So this is actually the third phono stage that I've reviewed now over the last, year and a half. Started off with the Graham from Sweden. And that was a lovely phono stage that Graham Audio that, I thought sounded really nice, very mellow. It's a very sort of gemütlich phono stage, if you want to call it that. Multiple inputs and all that. You can watch the review. I'll link it down below. Then, of course, we had the Master Blaster, which really surprised the heck out of me. The Mola Mola Lupe. And finally, we're here at the Masterphono from Peter Madnick and the rest of the team at Mobile Fidelity and Mobile Fidelity Distribution. And so, what is it? Glad you asked. It's actually a really cool phono stage. It has 3 inputs, 2 of which are voltage inputs. 1 is a current input, which basically is for super low output MC cartridges that, I don't want to say I'm not a fan of them, but in my opinion, they're almost unnecessary. Again, just my opinion. I know that all there's out there that, what's he talking about? Is he crazy? No, seriously. My opinion, look, there's always a tit for tat, right? You don't wind up the coils as much to get lower weight, less resistance, all that kind of stuff. Great. What are you losing on the other end of it, right? So anyway, very low output. Unless your stuff's super dead quiet, you're going to hear more hum, you're going to get more noise, so on and so forth. I didn't really have a low output MC to test this with, so I can't comment on it. That said, the dual input feature is super awesome. Again, this is a phono stage made for those that have more than one arm. I'm not going to get too into the technical weeds of it. You can look that up online, and these videos are really not meant for all that stuff. Otherwise, I'd be just reading a script, which some people do, which I'm like, dude, what's the point of a video? But I will say that it has, you know, for MC and MM, it's got all the input selectors, obviously. It's got the capacitive adjustment. It's got the loading resistance. You can, notice it has 2 lovely meters that glow nice and orange. What's actually cool, you can defeat that orange if you don't like it or if it's too bright for you. You can also adjust the output level, the brightness level, I should say, of that orange. That said, yeah, you can use the meters actually, obviously, as Germans would say, Zappelmeter. So to show you the musical energy on the record, and as view meters, and they can be summed to mono, and you can use it to adjust your azimuth on your cartridge. When the meters show 0 output, supposedly you're set. I personally only use Analog Magic Volume 2 to set up my cartridges. And again, I don't want to get into the weeds of it. There's people that love doing manual stuff. I like using a computer. It's got an oscilloscope. It's got everything built in you need to set up a cartridge electrically properly. And that's my preferred way of doing it. Don't be surprised if the cartridge doesn't look straight in the body, because most of the time, in fact, it will not look straight in the body, because to get the cartridge aligned electrically properly to the record, it depends on how well the cartridge is built, how well the stylus is set into the motor structure, if that's straight or not, if there's any azimuth tilt, etc., 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 etc. You can look other videos online. The Masterphono, what does it sound like? Ooh. So, by the way, before I get to the sonics, I will say one thing that I do want to point out. I think Peter did a phenomenal job of separating out all the super sensitive components, sensitive to noise, sensitive to hash and all that stuff, electrical interference, with these copper rods, tubes, I should say, that go from the front of the phono stage to the back of the phono stage where all the noisy stuff is at. And it's a clever design, I will say. So it's really, it is a 2 chassis phono stage that looks like one. But they're totally 2 separate chassis. So it's kind of clever that, you know, he didn't stack them one on top of the other. He stacked them or put them one behind the other, which is kind of cool. Peter, great thinking, great chops. The sound. So, you know, in broad strokes, I will say this. So if I take my reference phono, MC, I'm not talking about DS audio, which you guys know I'm a big fan of, but this is not DS audio. This is not EMMlabs EQ1. If I'm looking at my MC phono reference, which is Einstein, the twin box setup that I've been using for, gosh, almost 10 years now, that to me is like the pinnacle of what you can get with MC phono. Punchy, dynamic, it's got shove, it's got resolution, it's got the width and all that. So if I look at, for example, the Graham Audio phono, it's way more over to the sweet, mellow, saucy, syrupy, you know, makes you feel nice and warm, fuzzy side. Then you have probably even a little more off to the cooler side of neutral, just a tad, the Mola Mola Lupe. And then I think somewhere in between, probably a little more over on the warmer side of the spectrum, you have the Masterphono. Very, very luscious, very, very sweet sounding. You know, you play the old classics, you know, I hate to bring it up, Dean Martin, Dream with Dean. You know, yeah, man, it's, you know, the baritone voice is there. You got, you know, it's got oomph, you know, but it's mellow and it's sweet. There's, you know, the violins on records with violins, obviously. You know, everything, the shimmer on a drum kit. It just sounds very palpable, very sort of, you know, sweet, and you got the feeling of, this is music, and it's musical, and all that stuff. And me personally, while I do like that, I'll take the punch and the shove in the guts over the syrup, over the schmaltz. And again, don't misquote me. I'm not saying that this is way out into the boonies of how it sounds as far as warmth and all that. It isn't. I'm just using it to kind of describe my personal preference of, you know, this is a little too much on the warm side for me. If I had the choice, which I do, then I will pick something that's more neutral and probably even maybe a little more on the cooler side of things, just because that's kind of how I like it. I want to feel the punch. I want to feel the percussion. I want to feel the zest. I want to feel, you know, because music to me is all about dynamics. It's all about shove. It's all about the guts, etc., etc. So I picked a couple of records for you guys to drool over. First one, of course, Parliament. Speaking of Mobile Fidelity and Music Direct, the latest 2 LP reissue on 45 RPM. I mean, George Clinton, what can you say? This, if you want to get one Parliament record, this is the one to get. Dude, they did a fantastic job on this one. It's got shove, it's punchy, it's got guts. I mean, there's bass, there's thunder, woomph. It's good. Trust me, you'll like it. Deep Purple. So this is made in Japan, remixed by the great Steve Wilson. I will say I'm a huge Steve Wilson remix fan. And just about anything that I've heard that the guy touches with his incredible vision of remixing the original multi-tracks into a totally new mix, he's nailed it on this. The rolling drums sound so freaking awesome. It has that shove that I like, and it adds a little bit of that schmaltz, which is nice, right? So, sounds great. It's got good bass. It's got good punch. And it probably mellows the record out a little bit because it can sound fairly aggressive, if you catch my drift. Next up, Neil Ardley. This was reissued by Analog October in the UK. This is their second reissue, all analog. If you like that sort of 70s prog jazz rock from the UK, absolutely fantastic record. Very wide soundstage. Not quite as what I get with the Einstein or the Loopy, but it's there. I mean, you can definitely feel the image, the space, etc. And again, kind of like on the Deep Purple and the Parliament, you know, the percussion, it's all there. You can feel it. You can hear it, obviously. But it's not quite with the power and punch that I care for. And then last but not least, absolutely fantastic singer-songwriter, Colter Wall. Man, his voice is $1,000,000. See, for this, the Masterphone is absolutely perfect. It adds a little bit more of that schmaltz into his voice. And it's him and his guitar. And it's just fantastic. In fact, there's a new album coming out. So yeah, Colter Wall, delicious on the Masterphono. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we killed another review. Peter, thanks so much for the work you've done on this. The team at Mobile Fidelity. Of course, this was a non-paid for review. My thoughts and opinions were that of my alter ego and of Peanut here. You can't see her in the camera, but she's right here getting kisses and cuddles. Anyway, thanks for tuning in as always. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye.